今夜は、アイダホにいるビッグフットというよりもビッグフット有名なパターソン・ギムリンフィルムの研究者、検証で有名な、ジェフリー・メルドラム先生にお話を伺っていきたいと思います。おそらく日本のメディアは、地上波 BS はもちろん、YouTube でも初めてになりますね、おそらく。
そうです、
はい。でこちらの、プロミネントなリサーチャーである並木先生の名前を出したらば、ぜひとも協力したいということで、お話を伺うことになりました。どんな話が出るのか楽しみですね。はい。やったー、素晴らしい。Good morning. How are you doing today?
Very good.
Thank you very much. I'm Watsu. And sitting next to me is Mr. Namiki,
I'm Namiki,
prominent Japanese researcher, and his son Makoto right here. And I am very, just thank you very much for your time today. I'm just looking back at the message log, and it looks like we have been exchanging messages since 2014.
Is that right?
Yeah, 2014. Quite a long time, I guess. Well, anyway, so could you please introduce yourself to the Japanese audience, or to us, or to everybody here?
Absolutely. Well, my name is Jeff Meldrum. I'm a professor of anatomy and anthropology at Idaho State University, Idaho. And that I teach human gross anatomy in the health professions programs here at IHU. My doctorate, my degree is in anatomical sciences with an emphasis in physical anthropology. So I teach anatomy, but I do research in the evolution of humans. Evolutionary fossil record. I'm particularly interested in how it is that we are adapted to walking on two legs. Bipedalism.
Okay.
And that's what brought me together with this question of Sasquatch, Bigfoot.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, because here's the possibility of another biped, another bipedal primate, and besides the mystique and the mystery and the fascination of the topic itself, as a scientist, it provides a very good natural comparison and contrast between two species that have evolved this adaptation probably very separately from one another, but in similar ways. So that's how it began.
Okay, well, just moments. Just briefly explain everything to him, all right? Okay, just give me 2 or 3 minutes right here. 結局専門がそういう科学方で解剖体表学みたいなのをやっていて、そういうところの研究から始まって、そのビッグフットとあそこの共通点が見つかって、それで研究を本格的に始める。I guess this is your very first time to appear in the Japanese audience, right?
I think I may have done an interview or two previously.
Okay.
A year, quite some time ago.
Well, anyway, we're here right now. So, the main theme of today's interview is based on your answers to the questionnaires you sent to us a while ago. So we're gonna go that way. And one more time, how did you get involved in the cryptid research?
Right. Well, when I was young, about 11, living in Washington State, Roger Patterson, who was responsible for that iconic film, he began showing the film to the public. And one of the first places was Spokane, Washington, where I was living.
Spokane.
Yeah. So I was able to attend that with my father and younger brother. And was very impressed with what I saw. And of course, in a young mind, there were all sorts of questions and ideas for adventure and exploration and discovery. And so I was very fascinated by that and continued to study it. Back then, before internet, we had library books and newspaper clippings and the such. But eventually, should I stop there and then let you?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's better. 結局幼児体験でスポケン出身でワシントンのスポケンに住んでて、でお父さんが山の中連れてってくれて、なんだかんだやってるうちに非常に多いですよね、やっぱり
ワシントン多いもんね。
ワシントン多いので、そういうことから始まったっていうことで。Alright.
Okay. So eventually, that interest waxed and waned through the years.
Yes.
But I pursued this career path, studying anthropology and learning about the adaptations of the foot, of fossilized footprints, of hominid fossil foot bones, and so forth. So when the opportunity arose to actually examine footprints attributed to Sasquatch, I was in a very good position. I was very educated, very informed. I was one of a few experts in the country familiar with the details of footprint morphology relates to bipedal adaptations.
かなりね、やっぱエキスパートで、そういうことで、いわゆる極物っぽいことで扱われがちなことに関しても、こういうことでやっていくんですよ。Alright, so could you please go over the anatomical characteristics of the creature in Patterson Gimlin film?
Yes. Okay. So I'm quite confident. I'm very convinced that film is the real McCoy, the real deal. And what we see is actually very, very much what we now envision an early bipedal hominin would look like, with the exception of its enormous size, which would be an adaptation to more northern latitudes. Temperate habitats. We see a very heavily muscled, massive body. We see a relatively small brain, and according to that, we see no evidence of material culture. We see no stuff. It's just it's just a creature, and with very deep jaws and heavy muscles of the chewing apparatus, which would all be consistent with this type of habitat. And of course, the adaptations for bipedalism. I mean, from the waist up, it looks much like a gorilla. And waist down, it looks very human-like with the more human-like pelvis and leg proportions and obviously foot morphology.
でパターソン・グビリンフィルムに出ている、生物っていうのはもう、本物に間違いないとも完全にそう思っていて、生息域、緯度を考えると体が大きくなったりとか体毛が増えたりとかいうのが特徴で、もう一つ特徴はこの顎がすごく大きくて、この咀嚼の筋肉っていうのが人間と非常に似ているので、こことそういうところで、本物ではないかって新しいタイプの全くこの人間とは別の系統で進化した直立型の類人猿の種類だっておっしゃっています。Alright, so let's see. Let's talk about the Patterson Gimlin film here. You told us that the original version of the film has been missing. And is this because of some kind of human error, or there someone who wants to, just put the lid on everything?
Right. No, it's more likely human error.
Human error.
The film had been lent to a production company.
Yes.
That was doing a documentary on the subject, and they were, making copies and producing clips. That company became insolvent. It went into bankruptcy. Its assets were then seized by the bank and then sold. And of course, all of its materials, including, unfortunately, this film, became misplaced. It was made to retrieve it. It had already exchanged hands a couple of times, and it just was never found. So thankfully, fortunately, numerous copies had been made, and so we have quite a number of several generations of copies, some of which are still pretty good.
Alright. 結局そのオリジナルフィルムをこれに書いてあるその通りなんだけども、もう多いじゃないですか、量がいろいろ。それでなんか信じられないんだけども、あっちこっちミスプレイスとしてもあっちこっちもバラバラになっちゃった。それは見つからない。
彼オリジナル見たことない。
Have you ever seen the original?
No, well, I've just seen, the presentation, the public presentation. So that wasn't technically the original, but it was very early copies, obviously.
Early copy だね、初期のコピー。Okay, thank you very much. Alright, so, well, I believe that, we just liked the debunking of the costume hypothesis right here, and it was nicely laid out for a layman like me, and and all the same. At the same time, very exciting. And let me put it this way, it was an educational and intellectually stimulating process. How does the American audience accept it?
It's very very split. There are people who are quite convinced. I mean, if you were to take a poll of Americans and ask, especially here in the West, and ask how many believe or are convinced that there could be a Sasquatch, it would be a high number, much more than 50%.
Okay.
So many people think that, yeah, there probably is something out there. There are others who are very skeptical.
Yes.
And so the scientific community sort of holds itself to the standard of requiring a body, requiring a specimen.
Yes.
And so few people are willing, few academics are willing even to comment or to analyze the film because of the potential negative stigma or association with the topic in general.
あのね。
It's considered tabloid.
いや、OK。タブロイド紙みたいな、やはりスティグマっていうふうに今おっしゃったけども、やっぱりね、悪名高いっていうかもうラベルが貼っちゃってるね。ですからやっぱりアカデミックの人たちは、まあ信じないけども、ただ、アメリカ人だと、まあ意見は分かれるんだけども、まず50% 以上はいると思ってるっていうふうにおっしゃってます。で、その、半分以上、まあ半分、信じない人に関しては死体が見つからない、標本が一つもないっていうことが原因で信じないっていうことがおっしゃっていらっしゃいます。Alright, so next question. Okay, I believe that there is a lot of Sasquatch, Bigfoot type of creature, bipedal hominid living all over the world, and you working on some kind of grouping those creatures.
Yes, it would be much too simple if it was all the same species across the entire world, because the evidence is so varied from the descriptions, the heights, the shape of the feet, and so we now know that human and hominoid evolution is a very bushy tree with many branches.
Yes.
And that some of those branches have persisted alongside us until very recently in the known fossil record, if not into the present. And there are reports of Sasquatch-like creatures that extend into Asia, down the Pacific coast and into Southeast Asia and along the Himalayas and clear over to the Caucasus Mountains of Russia, and the footprints and the descriptions and the behaviors described are very similar to Sasquatch. Then, in contrast, there are creatures in parts of Western Asia where, at one time, at least we know from the fossils, there were Neanderthals. The Russian wild man, the descriptions are very distinct, much shorter, more man-like in height, often with differentiated head hair, sometimes body hair, but attempting to speak, often trading with the local indigenous people. And so it's tempting to suggest that that might be relic Neanderthals.
Okay.
And then the Yeti of the Himalayas has a footprint with a divergent big toe, so very ape-like. And then the little people of Southeast Asia, like Homo floresiensis or the Hobbit, just
Orang pendek or, you know.
yes.
Okay.
So there's at least 4 that I can fairly comfortably categorize. I don't know what to do with the Yowie of Australia, because there shouldn't be primates in Australia, but
Okay.
there are people.
まあいくつも4つ今おっしゃってました。でまあサスカッチがあって化石方向の問題なんだけども、まあ太平洋域から東南アジアコーカサス地方、それから今言ったロシアのコーカサスがありますから、いくつも4つのグループに分けていて、でそちらの方でまあ少なくともグルーピングに関しては4つの方にやっているっていうふうにおっしゃってらっしゃいますね。誠さんのこの間さっきのやつあるんだけども。Alright, so they all have different names, but are there any similarities among all the types of creatures?
Well, because they all are relic hominoids, members of the superfamily Hominoidea, obviously they have the shared characteristics. They have a basically, quote, human-like appearance. And especially since they stand upright and walk on 2 legs instead of 4. But otherwise, they vary. As I said, the footprints, the Russian wild man, the Almasty, has a very human-like arch foot, but very broad. And of course, I mentioned that the Yeti.
Yes, right, that's right.
Very limited. It has divergent big toes, so almost certainly is still a climber. You know? And then the descriptions of the Hobbit or of Orang Pendek, due to all these, I mean, by all appearances, if we can connect Homo floresiensis and Orang Pendek, then we're talking about a late Australopithecine or early Homo habilis, has survived for millions of years. So the similarities rise from that common category of man-like primates.
まあ人間のような類似性っていうのは大きなグループの中で大数大きな類っていうのかな、生物学用語で分かんないけども、その中であれば当然のことがあるよっていう話、それぞれの種類があるということですね。あるということですね。Alright.